This is an $8 Temu fishing rod, and today I'm taking it out to see if I can catch some real fish on it. You see, a few videos ago I tested out 3 different Temu fishing rods, and this was the cheapest one. When it came down to this $8 telescopic rod, I basically said it was a piece of crap and it's probably going to snap. However, I've had this thing for a few weeks now and it's still going strong. So today I'm taking it out and giving it a real test and see if we can catch some bigger fish on it, or if it's going to snap. I feel like a good goal for today is to try to catch a fish over 50 centimeters, because they'll really show us if this rod is capable of catching bigger fish or not. Right, so I'm just about to start fishing, but before I do that I'm just going to quickly go over the rod and just give you a bit of a closer look. So yeah, like I said, this rod costs $8 off Temu, and it's a telescopic rod, which means it can sort of fold in, which makes it pretty nice for travelling. I can just chuck it in a bag. But yeah, now this thing is completely made out of plastic, which means it's not going to be very sturdy and it probably won't last very long. But yeah, I guess that's why it costs $8. I mean, yeah, all this is just cheap plastic. The rod is also quite stiff, which means it doesn't bend a lot, which might make casting kind of hard and also will make it pretty hard to feel bites. As you can see, like the rod eyes and stuff are just kind of barely like glued on. I could pull them off if I wanted. But yeah, there's not much more to it than that. It's cheap, it's plastic, it's blue, and it's probably gonna break. But yeah, I've just got the Shimano Naski paired up with it, as well as a Dawa bait junkie. Right, now this is what the rod looks like fully packed down. As you can see, it's quite small and compact, which, like I said, makes it nice for traveling. I can just chuck it straight into most bags and that zips up nicely. But yeah, so now I'm just going to head down to a spot that I've fished quite a bit. But yeah, I'm just going to walk down now, see you when we get there. There's a fish. Right, now this spot can fish pretty decent at times, especially at high tide, because all the fish sort of come up from the sea. So I'm just going to fish here for a while until the water gets too high. The average size for the fish around here is kind of like 30 to 40 centimeters, which isn't bad, and they fight pretty hard. But then yeah, you also often get them above 50. So yeah, that's going to be the target for today, because one of those things will really test this rod. Alright, now if you guys watched the previous video where I tested out the 3 different Temu rods, you probably would have heard me say it. This rod doesn't actually cast that bad, it's pretty smooth, but I do have quite thin braid on and a nice reel. Well, a lot nicer than the rod, which probably does make quite a lot of difference. But yeah, with what I'm using, it doesn't actually cast that bad. Let's see how close we can get it to the bank without actually hitting the bank. I mean, about a meter off, probably a bit less, which, you know, isn't the greatest, but for something like this, that's not bad at all. Another thing that I noticed from that initial testing was that because the rod's so stiff, it's really hard to detect bites, especially when they're small. So I'm hoping that when we do hook up to some fish, they'll hit it pretty hard, because it's going to be quite hard to feel them. We'll probably end up missing some bites because of it. Yep, there's a fish, guys. I think there's 2 of them. I saw another one. Oh. Wow, look at that. So here's probably a good idea. Like, this fish is pulling pretty hard, and you can see this rod just isn't bending. It bends a little bit at the tip, but yeah, not much further than that. Not a bad little kahawai, not 50 centimeters, but it's probably like 30. He's still fighting well. Yeah, this will probably give you a clear indication of how stiff this rod is. Try to bring him up. Oh, got him. So there's that soft bait just in the top of in the corner of the mouth. So they're not a bad kahawai, pretty fat, but yeah, about 30 centimeters, a good test for this rod. So So yeah, we'll get them back. Right, so first fish of the day wasn't huge, it was about 30 centimeters. Still put up a good fight. They fight pretty hard. That fight just sort of gives you the indication of how the rod bends. It does bend a bit at the tip, but then it's pretty stiff throughout the rest of the length of it. Just gonna keep casting a few more lures. Still about half an hour until the tide's at its highest. So yeah, we'll keep fishing and see if we can catch some bigger ones. Right, so it took a bit of time, but we did catch a fish just on the little pink soft bait there. And I did see some more with him. Whilst I think I saw one more, I saw a flash. So you just keep casting. It's the middle of May now, so nearly winter, which means the fishing does start to slow down a bit. Although you can catch kahawai all throughout the year, it definitely slows down a bit in the winter when the water's colder. Right, the tide's definitely starting to get a bit higher now. It's sort of coming up to my feet. And let's hope with the tide coming in, the fish also come in. Yep, there's another fish. That was a really small bite. And this rod is really not that sensitive, so it's really hard to feel it. But I was just able to feel it. And yeah, another good kahawai. Come on! Oh. I didn't bring a net with me. And I don't want to risk these guys getting off, so I just quickly boat flip him. Alright, yet another little kahawai, not quite as big as the last, so we'll quickly get him back. Gone. You guys are not going to believe what just happened. I didn't realize that my GoPro was on photo mode and I just caught a huge kahawai. It's probably about 5 pounds. Oh, maybe it's close to about 20 centimeters. Yeah, don't worry, you guys didn't miss out on much. Another thing that I've noticed from using this rod today is that the handle is really uncomfortable and it's quite awkward to hold, which definitely becomes an issue when you've been fishing it for a while. Right, now straight in front of me here, it drops off quite deep, but then on the opposite side of the bank it's quite shallow and then it starts to drop down. So there's a bit of a drop off over there, which is sort of where I'm targeting. I'm just reeling it in slowly, trying to make it look like a little fish or something. Tide's getting pretty high. Might have to call it, there's going to be crabs crawling all over me soon. Alright guys, I think that's going to do it for the fishing. 3 fish landed, none of them were huge, but hey, that's fishing, and I feel like those fish still put this rod to the test. We know this rod can definitely catch fish. It's proved that multiple times now. Even though this rod can definitely catch fish, it's still far from a great rod. I feel like the main improvements would be improving the action on it, making it less stiff, and also just the overall build quality. I mean, the rod's pretty much completely made out of plastic, and I don't see this lasting long. I do like the fact that it's nice and easy to travel with, although that's the case with all telescopic rods. But if you are looking for something like this rod only costs $8 and you can catch fish on it. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure you click this video on the screen where I test out 3 of Temu's cheapest fishing rods. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed it and I'll see you on the next one.